On this episode of Movie Breakdowns, we're going to review Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves from the year 2023. I don't really have much of an opener, so we're going to hop into it. But before I do that, what is Movie Breakdowns? A movie review series. Look at new and old movies, give them a grade A through up. Plus and minuses do count. And if there's a movie you want me to review, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to it as best I can. Also on Patreon Zakka for $2 a month. You get the cut in front of everybody. Get your review out way before it comes out on Facebook and YouTube on the Patreon. And that's about it. Now, let's go and get into today's episode of 2023's Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. And with this movie, I do want to say this is going to be a spoiler review. It came out, I think, in March. So it's been enough time for people to go watch the movie if you want to go watch it. And I don't feel like doing a spoiler review on this. I'm just going to hop into it. Now, what is this movie about? Well, this movie is about a group of thieves who pretty much got together and making money off of stealing from the riches and giving to the poor and doing the other kind of things. Well, one wrong, I guess, heist cause a cause and effect where the main character loses something precious to him and he's trying to go and retrieve this item to revive what's precious. But by him doing this, he also helped kind of start a trickle effect to unleash a dark energy or evil substance across the world, and he had to like fix that at the same time, get back what he wanted in the first part where he lost. And that's pretty much the gist of this movie is a get a group together, let's go retrieve what we're looking for, and at the same time kind of save the day in a pseudo way. Now I will say that's a very basic non-spoiler part of this movie. The reality of this is you have a character who was played by Chris Pratt, who lost his wife. She was murdered through these, thanks to these sorcerers, so these wizards, and he's trying to revive her back to life. But when he went on this quest to bring her back, one of his teammates betrays him, and he gets locked away. And he gets out years later, goes find the teammate's doing well for himself. He is now a lord of a castle and has all this land, and his friend that was once his friend has his daughter. So our main character, Chris Pine, has to win back his daughter and also pretty much get the mystical artifact that could bring back his wife. Because that's what he wanted. His wife got killed by the wizards. He had to find his mystical artifact to bring her back. But the guy used the mystical artifact to just make money off of it. And the ex-friend worked with this wizard to get all these people into this coliseum that she's going to use to bring the evil entity back. And also at the same time, that dude was just going to use everybody's money who got turned into the evil zombies and escape. But Chris Pine and his team stops that. In a sense, when you look at that with the movie, what the movie really is, it is kind of like coincidence that things happen, but it's a good movie. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves is a fun movie that I had a good time watching. It's another based off a board game, based off a story game movie, and it's a good time. It's a good time. There are going to be moments in the movie where you're going to have fun and laugh, you like jokes, and the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. I actually enjoyed it. There's times in this movie where characters say this person can transform to any animal. Why would they transform to a deer? And then the character does transform into the deer in this environment, and they're like, oh, so he did transform into a deer. Or the character does something where they're too smart for their own good, where they're like, we was going to give you what you're looking for, but you decided to try to force your way out when we were going to just say, yes, you can go walk free. There are things in this movie that if the character's realizing, hey, why are we doing this? And then they're like, I don't know, we're just doing it because we can, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. I enjoyed this movie. I had fun with this movie. I did like some of the comedy bits in this movie. I like the action choreography in this movie. This movie is actually, there's different stuff in this movie that happens that you don't see in other movies that action adventure movies always use. You don't see the same tropes all the time. And there's a few times where the group I watched, my friends I watched it with, they pointed out one thing, I was like, huh, and then they pointed out another thing, I was like, I'm curious to see where this movie's gonna end, and you're like, they did telegraph it. But that's probably one nitpicking dislikes. There's a time in the movie we were watching, we was like, well, the character can transform into anything. why they're not just transforming to something that can fly and get out of the situation. So there are like plot holes like that if you want to be super nitpicky, but majority of it, it's such a good movie where you're like, yeah, I understand that this character could just literally fly into a bird and get out of harm's way, but they decided to stay a human and still run with everybody. You know, like, okay, but what's going on in the environment takes it away, so you're not just completely focusing on like the plot hole that was there. Like, for example, there's they call it pudgy dragon, a fat dragon in this movie, which I thought was hilarious because of the fact that most of the time when you see movies with dragons, they're always slender and sleek and quick and fast. Well, this dragon's still quick and fast, but also was very overweight, and he was still causing havoc. But there's a point where he was like, I'm not running, I'm just gonna roll. And I thought it was the most hilarious thing that the dragon was rolling himself to, and not like rolling to a ball, he just belly roll. He just laid on his side and just started rolling towards the good guys. And I was like, that is hilarious to me. Like, the fact that the dragon is like, you made a big fat dragon, instead of him being, you know, moving quickly, like, okay, his weight doesn't matter. No, the weight mattered, and the dragon was like, I'm just gonna slide down and get everybody. I'm just gonna roll, like the most laziest thing you can think of to get to something that I thought was hilarious. I thought the movie did a good job in this world and making this world believable as well. That dragon being an instant, what I believe was like in that world, it makes sense. A dragon was that big and that overweight, he's not gonna move like a slender dragon. He's gonna be like, why do I need to fly? I'm just gonna roll and crush you and eat you myself. I'm bigger and faster than you already are running. I'm gonna get you. I just thought that was just a good touch. And this movie does a lot of things like that where they add in good touches to a fantasy world where you see the tropes done so many times. The dragon, you've seen the tropes of the undead, you've seen the tropes of, you know, the wizard and the sorcerer, all those tropes, but they take it where you're like, I'm not sure how this is gonna go. I'm here for the ride. Yes, if this character stayed around, this would solve their problems. And the movie was like, the writer was like, all right, we have this dude who is a badass, kicking butt left and right. And we already have a powerful, you know, barbarian character, warrior character, who's also a badass, kicking butt left and right. With those two in this movie, and one of us is a strategic guy as well. The warrior's the badass warrior fighter, and then you have the badass warrior fighter who's also like the wizard, but who's also smart and just a good dude who pretty much took down a whole group of bad guys by himself. We have him in this movie, have her in this movie. It takes the air out when it comes to the final climax. So how do we get rid of this? She's like, hey, this is not my journey, I'm walking out. And the dude legit walks out the movie. He's like, it's not my journey, I'm deucing. Good luck, guys. Now I was like, huh, I get why the writers did it, but if the world was at danger like it was, wouldn't he want to stay around? But the writers realized that he's in the movie. There's no, will they survive? Will they get out of it? Will they win? There's none of that. It's literally like, oh, they have their, Hawk. They have their Captain America. They're going to win. And I like how the movie just like, screw it, I'm out. Peace. And that right there makes the other characters work a little harder too, so you get behind them when a scene where a character is about to die and you're like, oh, okay, we caught it earlier, but it weighted more because of the fact that, one, we didn't know how it was going to end. Two, she's been there since day one. She's been there since the beginning of the movie, so therefore when she's about to die or when she does die, you're not like, dang it, like I wish that somebody could be there to save her. But if that guy was there, they probably would have neglected it. He probably would have saw it, deflected the wizard blade and saved her. So I do like how the movie understood what it was doing and understood that, okay, we have certain characters here, the tension and the anticipation flies away on how the movie ends because they have their trump card. And I think that's good writing where the writers understand that, and they also decide to write out a character so that way the movie itself could breathe a little bit and could have that moment of tension, that moment of anticipation where you're not like sure are the characters gonna win or the characters gonna come out on top, how they're gonna come out on top. It's an action adventure movie, so 9 times out of 10 the good guys are gonna win, but when you know the good guys are gonna win, it's good to have it where you do not know how. You know they're gonna win, but you don't know how, and I like how this movie did that. I generally did not know how this movie is gonna end and how it's gonna play out when you have characters who are not as strong as the main villain, but they outwit the villain. I'm down with that. Love it. Love it. And I'm trying to think of some of the dislikes, because really dislikes in this movie be super nitpicky. Like, if I had, like, we all, there's times in the movie, like we said, like, why did the character reveal who they are? So the wizard lady, she is wearing black all the time, and there's a scene where she was talking to one of her subordinates, and she's like, the guys behind us, let them go. So the dude turned around and started killing them all. Her subordinates started killing all the guys behind her, and then she just turns herself red for no reason, and we're just like, that doesn't make sense storyline wise. Like, I understand it shows the audience that, oh, she's evil and she doesn't care. But at the same time, you're like, and why did she could just stay black and kept walking? Like, we got the gist that she doesn't care about life besides the people she needed to convert into the zombies of the undead. I'm trying to think, the length of the movie's 2 hours and 14 minutes. It did seem long at certain parts where you're like, okay, 2 hours and 14 minutes. It's not, I feel like Marvel movies can get away with it because they're Marvel and they're trying to tell a bigger story at the end of it all. And you know, okay, this 2 hours, 30-minute movie might have a piece of another movie that's going to play into this. But when you do a movie like Dungeons and Dragons, 2 hours could have been fine. An hour and 50 minutes could be fine. 2014, the extra 14 minutes that was added into the movie, I'm not really sure if it helped. Like, maybe it's more comedy, but I'm trying to think of things they could have cut out a little bit more to be a cut down 14 minutes. I don't think it needed to be 2 hours and 14 minutes. That's probably one thing you're watching, you're just like, man, okay, where are we at in this movie? Because you think about the climax and then do the rescue part and okay, we have to go back and save everybody because we still have a good conscience. We just don't want to watch people die. Also, they die. It takes over everything else. And I do appreciate towards the end of this movie where the good guys get what they're looking for. They got the remnants to bring back the wife. Chris Pratt got the remnants to bring back his wife, and then he got his daughter. He got everything. The mission, what they went to go do, was resolved. They got it done, and then they look back and see the wizard lady is about to summon the horde of undead and take over the world. We can't ignore it, but by us ignoring it, it's going to also affect us down the line. So let's go back and stop her before she gets this in plan. And how they do it, they end up taking the gold that the Hugh Grant's character was stealing, took his gold and spread it throughout the city so everybody ran after the gold and she couldn't have anybody to convert into the zombies. And then she tried to fight them to finish them off because she needed a whole group of humans or live creatures in one spot, humanoid beings in one spot to turn into zombies, and she didn't have that, so therefore she attacked the good guys and they end up thwarting her plans and taking her out the picture. But I do like how the movie was definitely not just copy and paste. We've seen this storyline before. It was a little different from other movies. Alright, let's go ahead and get into cast, acting, details, and all that good stuff. So Dungeons & Dragons Honors Among Thieves came out in 2023. It's PG-13, 214 minutes. The director is John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. The writers are Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Daly, and Michael Gillio. The movie is considered an action-adventure comedy movie. And the budget for this movie is $150 million estimate, and it grossed worldwide $208 million estimate. Yeah, the movie barely made any money. That's tragic. Cause this movie's not a bad movie. It's actually pretty good. I don't know. I don't know if the cast. I don't know. That's crazy. They didn't make that much money because the cast is not a bad cast. Top cast, you have Chris Pine, who plays Egin. He is the main character in this movie. He's your protagonist, the one you're falling behind. He's also the storyteller of the movie. He's the one where his wife got killed because he stole from the Red Wizards. If he didn't do that, they went after his wife or went after him to kill him, get the gold back. But so he feel guilty about it, and he's trying to rewrite the wrongs, and he believes he has a chance to bring his wife back because of what he did. And he ended up not doing that because of his daughter, who played by Chloe Coleman, Kara, who was raised by Chris Pine's character and Michelle Rodriguez's character, Holga. So when Holga's about to die in this movie, Chris Pine's character, Egin, realized that, like, maybe the mom who Kara never really got to meet her mom. She was a baby when, like, she remembered her mom because she was a baby when her mom passed away. But Holga was there the whole time protecting Kara. So Kara and Holga had this mother-daughter relationship. So Chris Pine brings back Holga for Kara, who's like, "Don't leave me, I need you." And Chris Pine does see that. I like the way how the movie expressed it. Like, Holga saw Egin with the baby who was drunk, and she's like, "All right, let me get them together." Like, Holga got kicked out from her family, so she had nobody. But she kind of like brings in Chris Pine's character and Kara, and really takes care of Kara as her own. So Holga didn't really want a family in a sense. When she left her family to be with somebody else, ended up getting that family that she wanted. And Kara got that mother cat she wanted, and Egin realized that, so he brought back Holga. Holga, who played by Michelle Rodriguez, solid character. She's the muscle. She is the warrior class who's gonna kick butt and say no names. Like, and she really doesn't get. She's straightforward. Like, she's like, "Oh, this is happening. Okay, this is happening. Oh, you're not that smart. Oh, you're not that goofy. Oh, you're not that." Like, she's straightforward, tell how it is, and just a fighter. She's the fighter. Had a lot of good scenes where there's time where everybody else is like, "Oh, well, we're not gonna do anything, or we can't do anything," and she's kicking butt left and right. Matter of fact, there's a whole scene where she's in the armory and she's fighting in the armory in the smithing area, and just a cool fight scene where she's taking on like 10 guys and just cleaning them. And the movie didn't make it generic where, like, oh, she just kicked butt left and right. Like, she had different ways to take out people, and I like the choreography in this movie. It's a good fight scenes. You had Reggie John Page, who played Zinnik. I thought he was, watching the trailers, I thought he was gonna be the one to betray the group. Like, he's a cool, suave character, and he is. He's a cool, suave character in this movie who's had a heart of gold, who's like, "Hey, we're on a good path. We're going to protect everybody, do our due diligence to make sure everybody's safe, and do what's best for the world." I thought he's gonna be the character when I watched the trailer that he's gonna be betraying everybody. He's the main bad guy that they join, but then he betrays them. Not the case at all. He just helped them retrieve this helmet that will be used to stop the villain at the end of the movie. And in reality, he was there to kind of just move the plot along, get some little exposition back points, but also have a cool fight scene and help them beat the dragon. Cool character. Thought he was cool. I thought he was good for what he was. And I like how the movie written him out by saying, like, "This is not my story. Go do your thing. I'm walking away." So I give him props for that. Justice Smith, who plays Simon, he's kind of the character he is in other movies where he's like the scared dude who's not confident in himself. He plays that character again, and then he gets confidence in himself at the end of the movie, become a strong sorcerer. Like, the dude's kind of like the non-confident dude who can't get a girl, because he actually tries to get a girl and he fails miserably because the character's like, you're weak, you're not strong. And he end up becoming strong and end up asking her out again, or gets confident in himself, not strong, but get confidence in himself and ask her out again. But he was fine. His storyline that he had to gain confidence to help the team win and infiltrate the castle, and good storyline for him. Yeah, Sophia Lillis, who played Doric. Doric was a druid who could transform into any animal. Her main animal she transformed into was an owl bear. And just a fun character. She could transform anything, and actually her plot at the beginning of the movie, or the middle of the movie, she tried to go and infiltrate the infiltrate the castle, and the wizard's like, this being here with us, and pretty much has a cool chase scene where she's trying to get out the castle and transform to different animals. And I thought her scene was cool. I thought she was cool for what she was. She wasn't the muscle, but she also was a very capable fighter as well, and just a cool mystical being that you could watch and see him transform and do cool things in the movie. Kind of like the Hulk. If you've seen the movie, or if you've seen Avengers, first one where the Hulk defeats Loki, where he just grabs him, tosses him back and forth, and then looks at him do it again. She has that kind of moment in this movie where she grabs the villain, destroys them, looks at them, destroys them again, and then tosses them away. Just a fun character, a cool character to have in the movie, who also adds some quips and jokes, stuff like that. Solid. Hugh Grant, who plays Forge, he was a part of the good guy group, and it betrays him, and he gets everything for himself, the riches, and becomes like a lord, and pretty much used the Red Wizard to help him get more money as he helps her get a group of people together to transform them into zombies. I thought Hugh Grant's character was funny. He cracked me up. He's had all the quips, and actually it's funny because the movie talks about it. Daisy Head character, Sophina, she talks about like all the quips, all the jokes I had to endure all these 2 years for us to get to this point. You guys ruined it. Well, Hugh Grant quippy left and right, and he cracked me up. He'd be like, ooh, I can't see this. I'm gonna walk out the room. Or, oh, you transformed. You probably shouldn't do that. You know, just unbeknownst. You probably should do that, you know, when you're in your own private sea, so I don't just barge in and you transform into the Red Wizard. Like, the dude completely knows what's going on. He completely doesn't care, and just selfish himself. I like him as a slimy villain, and really, it was cool seeing him get his comeuppance in the end of the movie, but I feel like he's around to be a part of a sequel if they ever have it. And then there's Daisy Head, who plays Sophina. She, menacingly, just the villain. She didn't really have much else in the movie, kind of like, Zenith already told her story and why she's doing it, how to revive, like the order the undead and control the world kind of thing. Just an evil character. Nothing else really about her, like her passion, her driven, her drive. Nothing else besides I just want to rule the world kind of thing. She's okay as a villain. Like, it really wasn't their story. Like, it wasn't Hugh Forge and Sophina's story. It was more of everybody else's story, and they just kind of got wrapped into it. Like, Chloe Cloman, who played Kira, thought she was fine. She was the upset daughter who, dad, like, you didn't say goodbye to me, or you didn't say sorry when you came back. You just showed up and think everything would be peachy clean. I'm mad at you. And then, you know, Chris Pine character got to find a way to tell his daughter, no, I really just trying to do this for us. I made a mistake. I should have done it like that. I'm sorry. I should have brought you with me, or kind of things like of that nature. Thought was fine. And I feel like the edge in his main storyline really was about saving his daughter. He could care less about everybody else, but when it came down to being a good person, he like, I have a step apart to go. Like, he was a part of an organization that was steal from the bad guys and stop bad guys. He's like not a thief, but more of a, not an assassin. He's more of a ninja. Like, a spy. He'll be more of a spy. Like, he'll infiltrate and like stop people, stop bad guys from doing stuff, do things behind the shadows kind of character, and kind of like he revoked his Harper, it's called a Harper, his class, where he's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm doing things for my own selfish deeds, but I will also, you know, give to other people. And his band of thieves, like, we don't hurt people, we give to other people, but we steal from the, you know, the wealthy and the rich. Kind of like a Robin Hood in a sense. But the story is more about him trying to get back his wife and what he felt like he lost, and realized he had what he lost all along. Really was his daughter, his daughter's, you know, love of Holga and the family that they created. I like this movie. Any other thoughts? Nah, not really. Like, music-wise, there's not really much of a music score. There's a music score here, and you'll hear it at certain parts, but it's really, it's okay. Nothing that's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna play this music score at the end of the movie. The CGI, there's a time of CGI is not that strong, but it's okay. It's solid. It doesn't take you away from the movie, and there's a time where the CGI looks amazing. So, the CGI is hit or miss in certain parts of the movie, but it's fine. Like, it's well, it could be better for 2023. But the budget is 150 million, but it could be better. But the CGI is fine. There's certain parts of the CGI like, yeah, that could be a little better. And the other parts of the scene were like, man, you can't even tell. Like, you knew the CGI, but it didn't take you out of the movie. Like, some good work. Costume designs was cool. Character design, character looks was solid. Like, everything about the way everybody looked was good. And I feel like the acting, everybody went 110% in this movie. So good work there. Is this a Friday night movie? Yes, it's a Friday night movie. Watch with your friends and family and grading time. I'm going to grade Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves from 2023. I'm gonna give this movie a B-. Because a B- for me and 80%. I think it's a strong movie. It's a fun movie. I think everybody gonna enjoy it. Nothing about this movie is really egregious. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes kind of long, and there's plot holes you notice here and there, but it's fine. It's a funny movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. But all is just seriously enough not to lose you and what's going on. And you can still follow the movie, follow the storyline, get invested in characters. It's good stuff. Good across the board for an action adventure movie based on video games and board games and storytelling. Like solid. And I think Hasbro was behind this movie too. And I remember they did World of Warcraft for the movie they did that didn't hit as well, and I think they did another one that didn't hit as well. But I think Sonic laid a good groundwork for this movie. The Super Mario Brothers movie, Super Mario Brothers came out after this, I believe. So it was Sonic the Hedgehog and the Marvel movies with Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok laid a good foundation that you can do quippy and be goofy and funny and at the same time tell a serious story with mystical characters. Like you can't take it too seriously, just enough where people find jokes and humor, but everybody in the whole family can watch. Solid movie. So I'll give it an 80% B-. IMDb gives this movie a 7.3 out of 10. That is a C-. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics give this movie a 90%. That is an A. And the audience gives the movie a 93%, which is a A as well. So I'm in the middle of these two movies. I enjoyed this movie. I probably will watch it again, but it's not a perfect movie, and that's perfectly fine. Which I might watch the movie again. I'll probably watch it a few times, but it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. B- for me, and 80%. All the reason because some of the things with CGI and some of the plot holes. And the movie's 2 hours and 14 minutes, didn't really need to be that long, but the characters are great, the acting is great, the story is solid. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie where it doesn't take itself too seriously, but just seriously enough not to lose you in it. So, yep, that's my review of Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. If you've seen Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.